Hi, dear friends. Welcome back to Akshardhare. Good morning, everyone. Today is 18th November 2023. I hope you guys are enjoying the weekend, Saturday and Sunday with your family. So, I hope you guys are working towards to improve your communication in English and also following the tips which I have given in the previous videos. So, before going to start today's newspaper reading, I would request you guys to please subscribe the channel, like and comment. If you like the video, please share with your friends. It may useful for somebody to utilize the opportunities from the Akshardhare and team. So let's start reading the news and see what's in the front page of the Hindu newspaper. So let's start reading the newspaper. Yes, this is the front page of the Hindu newspaper. Congress offers 10-gram gold, 1 lakh for brides. 6 militants gunned down in J&K. Job quota for Haryana's residents quashed. Uncertain future in a sea of poppies. Farmers upset over a private competition. Rohit assesses the pitch for the final. Tunnel rescue work stopped amid fears of further collapse. Voter turnout crosses 74% in Chhattisgarh MP elections. Ashok chosen as leader of opposition. Karnataka records 34% northeast monsoon deficiency. KSRTC to venture into logistics business with 20 trucks. The trucks, which each with 6 ton capacity, are intended to cater to diverse clusters in Karnataka. State pushes deadline for fixing HSOP number plate to February 17. IMB test 2023 on November 19 and January 28th. Musical extravaganza today. SITs to crack down on cyber crimes. KRRS plans 72 hours dharna. Six arrested for creating bank accounts for cybercrime transactions. The cybercrime police on Friday unearthed a racket and arrested a gang of 6 people for creating bank account using credentials of gullible people and later using it for transactions related to cyber crimes. The accused operated from a rented house in Mathikere, offering money ranging from 5,000 to 10,000 to gullible people in return for sharing details of their credentials, including Aadhaar and phone cards. Using this, the accused would open bank accounts and share them with cyber groups to transfer money from cyber-related crimes. The racket came to light when Manjesh from Bangalore was approached by the accused seeking his Aadhaar and phone card details in exchange of 10,000. On suspicion, Manjesh went to their house to find hundreds of such documents lying around. He alerted the cybercrime police, who raided the house and arrested Samir, Mohammad Hassan, Amul Babu, Mohammad Hirpan, Tanjil, and Manjunath from Kerala. The accused were working for a person in Dubai, the police said. The police seized around 126 bank accounts which the accused had created and were operating to route the money into these bank accounts and withdraw them. With their arrest, the police managed to crack 75 cybercrime cases reported in and around the city. City Police Commissioner B. Dayananda said the further investigations are on to ascertain the dubious transactions carried out in the seized accounts. Jewelry shop employee held for stealing valuables worth 1.02 crore. Drought hit farmers in state lost crops worth 33,000 crore. CME was addressing a packed audience at the inaugural of Krishi Mela 2023 on Gandhi Krishi Vigyan Kendra campus. Metro BM Marshal Bosch sign agreement. GKVK releases new fruit, plover and 3 millet varieties. Man held for murdering cousin over affair. The Tilak Nagar police and Friday arrested a 36-year-old fabricator for allegedly stabbing his cousin to death over an alleged affair. The accused Shabi, a resident of Ullal Upana, suspected his wife to be having an affair with his cousin Tabriz Fas, who worked in a furniture manufacturing unit in Tilak Nagar. He actually planned to kill Tabriz and kept a watch on him. On Wednesday, Shabi confronted Tabriz and had an argument. In the melee, Shabi pulled out a knife and stabbed Tabriz multiple times, killing him on the spot, said the police. The team of police led by Inspector Vishwanath tracked down Shabi to his house where he went in to inform his wife about killing Tabriz. According to the police, Shabi worked in Dubai as a fabricator for a few years. He returned to the city a few months ago and started working as a welder and but continued to fight with his wife and Tabriz. Property Plus, homes and real estate news. Seven ways to succeed or fail. How does a real estate developer make his mark in today's dynamic property market where everyone is struggling to sell? Congratulations to 200 plus Hollywoods. Amid some voices of discontent, BJP picks Ashok to lead legislature 40. The choice is being seen as a signal that BSY group is calling the shots in the party. Wouldn't keep quiet if NK in our region is not given representation yet now. Vijendra and I will work as Jodit. I may have been chosen as the leader of the opposition, but all the 66 MLAs of the party are leaders. We will also coordinate effectively with our alliance partner. JDS suspends Ibrahim for anti-party activities. Kumaraswamy accuses Biscom of finalizing him extra in power theft case for political reasons. DKS dismisses allegations. Investors affected from IMA scam want HC to monitor functioning of competent authority. High Court convicts 10 persons in 2008 caste clash case. Freebies Gallo in Congress manifesto. 10 gram of gold and 1 lakh in cash for brides. Free power of agriculture. Interest-free crop loans up to 3 lakh. Waiver of crop loans up to 2 lakh among promises in Telangana. Mallikarjuna Kharge's KCR turned a surplus estate into a debate-ridden one. Former MP Vijaya Shanti joins Congress. Call to revisit pension calculation formula. Karnataka High Court sets up examination center on the doorstep of pregnant lawyer. BSI scientists discovered two new plant species in Western Ghats Pass. Geopolitical fallout of the Israel-Hamas wars. Let's read this editorial page. One strategic shift and two tactical realignments. These were the driving forces of geopolitics in West Asia in recent years. Until October 7, all were interrelated. The United States, the reigning superpower of the region since the end of the Second World War, had begun shifting its strategic focus to more conventional rivals such as Russia and China, but to maintain its hold and interest in the region. What the US sought to do was to bring two of the pillars of its regional policy. Israel and the Gulf Arabs closer. The Abraham Accords were a result of this policy, which was rolled out by the Donald Trump administration and embraced by the US President Joe Biden. A common Jewish Arab front in a relatively peaceful West Asia would allow the US to free up resources from the region which it could use elsewhere. On the other hand, the US deprioritization of West Asia led Arabs to make their own tactical changes in foreign policy for a more predictable and stable relationship in the region. This opened an opportunity for China, which has good ties with countries across the Gulf, to play the role of a peacemaker. The result was the Iran Saudi reconciliation agreement. The US response to the Saudi Iran detente was to double down on the Abraham Accords. The Biden administration invested as itself in talks between the Saudis and the Israelis. It was to so confident about prospects of a deal that it unveiled the India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor proposal earlier this year, which hinged on Arab Israel peace and sold it as an alternative to China's outreach into the region. Then came the October 7 Hamas attack on Israel, regionalization of Palestine. Hamas, which has been controlling Gaza since 2007, looked at these two realignments differently. For Hamas, a Sunni Islamist militant group, the coming together of Iran, a Shia theocratic republic which also has been its patron for years, and Saudi Arabia, a Sunni monarchy that has been way up the Hamas brand of political Islam, is a welcome development. But it saw Saudi Arabia normalizing ties with Israel, which has been occupying Palestinian territories at least since 1967, as a setback. In 1978, when the Camp David Agreement was reached, Egypt got the Israelis to sign the framework for peace agreement, which became the blueprint for the Oslo process in 1990s. Jordan signed its peace treaty with Israel only after the first Oslo Accord was signed in 1993. But when the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Morocco signed the Abraham Accords in 2020, Israel did not make any concessions for the Palestinians. This was the clearest sign that Arabs, especially Gulf Arabs, were ready to de-link the Palestine question from their engagement with Israel, which boosted Tel Aviv's efforts to localize the Palestine issue, to treat it as a mere security nuisance while continuing the occupation without consequences. When Saudi Arabia and Israel were in talks, nobody expected the Benjamin Netanyahu government, the most far right government in Israel's history, compromising settler extremists and ultra Orthodox Zionists to offer concessions to the Palestinians. So, understandably, one of the goals of the October 7 Hamas attack was to break the walls of localization, regionalize the Palestine issue, and thereby scuttle the Saudi Israel peace bid. Israel's vengeful onslaught on the Gaza Strip, which followed the Hamas attack, killing at least 11,500 Palestinians, a vast majority of them women and children, made sure that Hamas met its goal, at least for now. The way Arabs see it, both the Arabs and Israel were ready to sidestep the Palestine question and chart a new course of partnership. But new regional realities emerged after October 7. The Palestine issue has now come back to the fore of the West Asian geopolitical cauldron. Second, Israel's disproportionate and indiscriminate attack on Gaza has triggered massive protests across the Arab street, mounting enormous pressure on monarchs and dictators. Arab countries which witnessed violent, destabilizing street protests and civil strife just 10 years ago, cannot completely turn away from the growing pan-Arab sympathy with the Palestinians and the antipathy towards Israel. Third, there is always the Iran factor. Ever since the Palestine issue got re-regionalized, Iran has stepped up its pro-Palestine rhetoric and called for collective action against Israel, while its proxies, the Houthis in Yemen and Hezbollah in Lebanon, have launched limited attacks on Israel. Iran is trying to climb the leadership of the Islamic world, bridging the Shia-Sunni divide. This has left Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries with difficult choices. They can either ignore the anger in the Arab street, letting Iran take up the cause and go ahead with the planned peace agreement with Israel, or halt the talks and return to the original King Abdullah initiative, which called for the permission of an independent Palestinian state based on the 1967 border in return for recognition of Israel. The Saudis convened an Islamic summit on Gaza, which saw the landmark visit by Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi to the kingdom, and reiterated its call for the creation of a Palestinian state based on the 1967 borders for peace and security in the region. In effect, Mohammed bin Salman and Saudi crown prince has relinked the Palestine issue with peace talks with Israel. This is a setback for both America and Israel. The US might still hope that the situation would be conducive to reboot the Abraham Accords once the dust settles. This is entirely possible, but a key challenge is that it is still not clear what Mr. Netanyahu endgame is in Gaza. He has already signaled that Israeli troops would continue to play an overall security role in the enclave, which means Israel would reoccupy the territory from where it could withdraw in 2005. The US had proposed that post the war, the Palestinian Authority, which runs parts of the West Bank with limited powers, should take over Gaza as well. But Mr. Netanyahu has shot down that proposal. So, if Israel reoccupies the territory home to 2.2 million people living in distress and misery, the current wave of violence would only be the beginning of a long spell. Regional dynamics. The Iran-Saudi reconciliation, Chinese and the Chinese remade mediation itself was a setback for the US in recent years. Arab countries have also shown an increasing hunger for autonomy. The UAE and Saudi Arabia refused to join American sanctions and against Russia after the Ukraine war. Saudi Arabia continued to its organization of the petroleum exporting countries, plus close cooperation with Moscow, defying Washington's requests and diktats. China is playing an increasingly greater role in the Gulf, which includes secret plans to build a military facility in the UAE. The current crisis is expediting these changes in the regional dynamics, with the Saudi Israeli peace plan derailed and the Iranian president having visited the kingdom to discuss Israel's war on Gaza. What Washington is witnessing is the limits of the US brokered Abraham Accords and the widening scope of the China brokered Iran Saudi detente. The situation in Gaza is effectively back to the pre 2005 days, but the geopolitical reality is entirely different from the early 2000s, when the US was the sole superpower in the region. Russia and China may not replace America and West Asia in the near future given the US huge military presence, but the growing footprint of other great powers is offering space for better maneuverability for regional players by tying itself deeply with Mr. Netanyahu's brutal, endless war on Gaza. The Biden administration has put the US in a difficult position in a region that is already in a flux. State of the economy, temper the euphoria. In its semi-annual report, World Economic Outlook Navigating Global Divergences, October 2023, the International Monetary Fund has revised its projected GDP growth rate for India for 2023 to 24 to 6.3%, up from the earlier 6.1%. For India's policymakers, it is a vindication of their short-term economic management. The success is sweeter as the IMF revised downwards their world GDP growth projection, including China's by 0.3 percent points to 4.2%. Official spokespersons have sought the IMF's endorsement is to silence its critics that the economies that were worst affected during the COVID-19 pandemic were also the ones to record a steep recovery is widely acknowledged. India, which was one of the worst affected, has followed the pattern. During the second quarter of 2020, India's GDP contracted by 25.6%, quarter on quarter, the worst among the world's major economies, as reported by the then IMF chief economist. In a tweet on September 2, 2020, the output contraction in 2020 to 21 at 8.5% over the previous year was one of the worst among the world's large economies. Taking a slightly longer view, India's real inflation adjusted annual GDP growth rate has slowed down from 6.8% in 2016 to 17 to 2.8% in 2019 to 20. Immediately prior to the pandemic, Real per capita income level in 2021 to 2022 at 1.09 lakh was higher than that in 2019 to 20 by about 600. In the following year, 2022 to 23, recovery gained momentum as domestic supplies were restored and global supply chains were straightened out. Effects are cause for concerns. Surely, output recoveries are welcome, yet its effects on employment, its quality and persistence of inflation of essential food items affecting the food the most remain causes of concern. As many critics have highlighted, our even focusing on output recovery, a sectoral view with a trade dimension would perhaps expose chinks and the armor. As detailed below, policymakers need to temper their optimism by taking a slightly longer view with a wider angle, appreciating the packed, fast changing geopolitical underpinnings of economic policy making. It perhaps bears repetition that 2022 to 23 heralded the end of globalization as we knew it since the Berlin Wall's collapse in 1989, with tectonic shifts in the world geopolitical order revealing India's persistent vulnerabilities of oil and food shocks. In fact, the Finance Ministry's monthly economic review alludes to these weaknesses growing deficit with China. However, the immediate concern is India's susceptibility to its soaring deficit with China. India's economic frailty has increased even as the net exports minus my imports to GDP ratio has declined sharply. India's dependence on China's imports of manufacturers seems structural and not easily are corrected by changes in relative fixed prices. It needs recollection that in May 2020, the government initiated the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan amidst the Galwan crisis to curb Chinese imports of critical industrial products. China accounts for 15% to 16% of India's imports and a third of India's trade deficit. The trade deficit continues to rise. However, India's trade dilemma with China fallen prey business line June 20, 2023 willy-nilly India undid many import restrictions as domestic production was getting throttled for lack of critical Chinese import inputs. The mirror image of rising Chinese imports is a steady decline in industrial growth rate from 13.1% per year in 2015 to 16 to negative 3.5% a year in 2019 to 20 before COVID-19. Industrial growth rates as per the index of industrial production, despite its limitations, shows an alarming regression over a longer period. During the boom period 2004 to 5 to 2013 to 14, manufacturing grew at an annual average rate of 5.7%. The rate declined to 3.1% during 2014 to 15 and 2023 22 to 23. The fall is acute in capital goods, plummeting from 9.7% to 1%. From 2011 to 12 to 2021 to 22, gross fixed capital formation to GDP ratio at current prices declined steadily from 34.3% to 28.39%, an unprecedented fall in post-independent India and its public sector share has remained constant at 8%. National accounts, not net foreign direct investment, excluding disinvestment, and outward foreign direct investment to current GDP ratio fell from 3.6% in 2008 to 2.4% in 2022. World Development Indicators. The official optimistic picture of public investment growth since financial year 22, based on budgetary statistics, seems suspect. Public investment has three parts: the central government, the states, and central public sector undertakings. Public investment by state governments, based on the center's loans and advances to states, is conditional upon policy reforms. The widely reported rise in the center's investment is apparently due to the merging of extra budgetary borrowing by central PSUs with the center's own budget. Hence, the projected boost in public investment seems illusory. Combining the three items, public investment seems around 6% of GDP, perhaps similar to its pre COVID 19 levels. Is public sector capex really rising? Nikhil Gupta, Business Line, January to 2023, credibility of the IGI. and social and development official spokespersons of and critics have battled over the veracity of questionable multi-dimensional poverty measure and the unrepresentativeness of the global hunger index. Instead, the UN Development Programme's Human Development Index may be more credible and an acceptable measure. The value of India's HDI index moderated from 0.645 in 2018 to 0.633 in 2021, and its global rank went down by one rank during 2015 to 21, meaning that other countries have performed better than India. The sum to sum up, if official spokespersons enlarged the frame of economic assignment slightly, a few stock facts come into focus. These are the strategic threat posed by an unrelenting rise in the trade deficit with China. Despite government's best efforts, its mirror image is a decline in industrial output growth rates, especially capital goods, decimation, and a decade-long, unprecedented decline in the economy's fixed investment rate with an unchanging public sector's share in it. At least up to 2021 to 22, India's HDI ranking slipped by one. Official commentators would perhaps do well to engage with its critics in appreciating the gravity of economic setbacks in recent years than scoring brownie points over the IMF's short term growth projections. Shamit class India will need to be at its best against Australia in the final. Building the floor, moves by the US China to stabilize the rocky relations, old relations for India. Ground zero. Uncertain future in a sea of poppies. Three districts in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan together contribute to 80% of India's OPM production, already facing the problem of stagnant procurement rates and rising input prices. Farmers are now angry with the union government for opening opium production and processing to private players. AM Jiggy talks to farmers in the Mewar region about their concerns. Six militants killed in operations in Kulgam, Rajouri J&K police. Manipur government to take legal action against ITLF leaders. HG cancels Haryana's 75% local quota in private sector. Article 370 order pending even as judge is set to retire. Tamil Nadu government plans to reenact bills as Governor Ravi withholds assent. PM strongly condemns the civilian casualties in Israel Hamas conflict. We are all seeing that developments in West Asia are giving birth to new challenges. India has condemned the disorderly attack on Israel on October 7. Festive season train pays go through the roof. Who filed a case against Rahul gets spotty post. PM strongly condemns civilian casualties in Israel Hamas conflict. Assembly polls, I think it is not important in me. Youth jail for vote tampered by low expectations from parties. Will recover KCR's loot to help says Rahul Gandhi. Telangana party's cabinet while tried to win over voters outside state. Congress has crossed all limits of appeasement in Rajasthan, says Samit Shah. India has a critical role in a Dubai Climate Reference Conference. Majid Al Suwaidi, Director General, COP 28, denies any conflict of interest in UAE. An oil producer boasting at the event, he says it's the COP for Asia, and if it works for India, it will work for many others. Modi warns against deep fakes, asks Modi will have to be on guard. IPS officer Alok Sharma appointed new SPG chief. For issue, IF land C130J on ground declared unfit for plane. Sir investors wide seek probe into Subrata Roy's death. King Sonora's perseverance. Mohammad Mujji takes office as the new Maldivian president. Mohammad Muizzu. 7 militants killed in West Bank confrontations, says Israel army. About 250 Rohingyas refugees in Indonesia sent back to sea. Booker Prize winning British author A.S. Batt dead at 77. Yun said to Gaja amid communications blackout. Japan PM raises serious concerns about military activity in talks with Z. Sri Lankan President Ranil calls Jay Shaw regrets comments targeting him. Two dead as strong earthquake shakes southern Philippines. Bank stocks fall as RBI tightens rules. Bank X slides at 1.48% a day after the banking regulator increases the risk weight on consumer loans. New RBI norms raise concerns about banks' loan growth and profitability as lenders will now need to set aside more capital for unsecured loans. Isuzu Motors in India opens fourth dealership in Tamil Nadu. Sees minimal impact of tighter personal loan rules. India seeks to restart Adani coal probe. India targets 40 billion in technical textile, $1 billion in technical textiles. Fed Bank Financial unveils 1092 crore IPO. All plans to offer whole range of alternative fuel vehicles by 2021. India just needs to stick to its game plan in this final. Sastri, I try and bowl a stump to stump. Shami on his World Cup success. Shami's presence gives India edge in bowling department. Shwanath, Illingworth and Kettleborough named on-field umpires for final. Away from the limelight, Rahul has quietly excelled. Just like Dravid, Wood band donned the big gloves to lend depth to the batting order. The wicket-keeper batter has optimized India's advantage in what has largely been a Kohli-Shami show. No real weaknesses in the Indian team. She is agile. For Australia to win, Smith has to score big. Rohit and Dravid have a long chat with Kyotos. South Africa gave it everything, but it was just not enough. It was a privilege to watch Virat's feat, says Richards. Choke Harkers. The tragic tale continues for the Proteas in the 50-over showpiece. Ravindra, the breakout star of the World Cup for Australia. Alcaraz vs Madhvadev plays Djokovic in semi-final. Leclerc paused in practice after possible opening session. Punjab gets a walkover. Tamil Nadu routes Assam. Maharashtra blanks Uttarakhand. It's all attractive, so Sanchini feature event. Punjab's Jasmanpreet sets sight and performing well in senior nationals. Uruguay stands Argentina, Colombia sinks Brazil. Arocha and Nunez on target for La Celeste as they hand the world champion in its first loss of the campaign. Diaz dealing with his father's kidnapping and release. Turns zero for Las Capetero. Hungary, Slovakia make the grade. Skopputs and Angkor Tiger UFC plan to scout young Indian players for development in Cambodia. Yorton deducted 10 points for breach for financial rules. Meg Lanning exits center stage, but her greatness lives on. Batting giant and an extraordinary captain, the Australian leaves behind an incomparable legacy in international cricket. Fortunately for our admirers, the 31-year-old will continue to showcase her abilities in the franchise cricket around the world. She is undoubtedly one of the best batters I have ever bowled to. Meg would pick your length sooner than most batters, and she was so strong to square off the wicket. Weekend sport F1 bets begin Sin City, the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is the last page, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed the newspaper reading and at least read the newspaper for 2 hours to make you better in English communication. And also, really, it will make you very perfect in English communication in the next 30 days if you are the beginners. If you are already like practicing, will I hope you will have under if you have come to know the realities, how long you can learn the English language very soon. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe the channel, like and comment. If you like the video, please share it with your friends. It may be useful for somebody to utilize the opportunities. And see you in the upcoming videos, guys. Have a great day. Bye bye. Take care.